In this video, I talked to another one of the fine students from Five Figure Niche Site, and this is Justin, and he serves in the military. And thanks for serving, Justin, by the way, and joining me. Super busy dude, so I didn't realize all the things that Justin had going on in his life when we sat down for this conversation. He has a young baby, fresh out of the oven. He's moving across the country, and he said, "You know what? The house is all packed up. It's kind of weird in here." So thanks, Justin, for taking the time out. Basically, Justin is making like $300 to $400 per month, and this is like after the retail season of November and December. So he is on a very nice upward trajectory, and we go over a few interesting things. Number one, he is not even interested in the niche that he's in. We don't reveal the site or anything like that. And there's really not much content on the site. There's not much content on the site at all. So he's making quite a bit of money from the very few articles he has. I think it's something like 28. 28, it sort of rings a bell. And at this point, he's put in a lot of hard work. He's just ecstatic about like where he's going and the possibilities moving forward. So if you have any questions for Justin, be sure to leave a comment. Let him know if you want to hear more from him. So Justin, thanks again. And without further ado, let's get to the interview. Hey, what's going on? It's Doug Cunnington here, and I'm with my friend Justin. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing really good. It's a snowy day here in Boulder. I was running a little bit late because the traffic just slows down when it snows. So I appreciate your patience with my scheduling today.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
So you're a student in Five Figure Niche Site, and you're one of my proud success stories. So I like to just jump right into it, and then we'll hear about your backstory. But can you let us know some of the recent earnings on your Amazon affiliate site?
So I'm making about 350 a month, and the website is just a little over a year old. It's like a year and a month.
Cool.
So
Very good. Congratulations. That's like a nice trajectory, especially for a busy person like yourself. We were just talking, you have a new addition to the family. So yeah, what's your story overall? Like, what do you do for your full-time gig? And then you could talk a little about your family as well.
yeah, so I'm in the U.S. Navy, and so I move around a lot, getting ready to move across country again. So it's always fun. Takes up a lot of time. Just had a new baby, so she's taking up a lot of time too. So just trying to balance out work and working at home and family. So
Right
it's
on.
fun.
Well, thanks for serving, of course. And I didn't realize you had all this stuff going on. Like right before we started recording, you were like, yeah, we got the 5 week old. We're moving
hmm
soon. Things are packed up. So thank you so much for spending the time with me today. I know that the time's precious right now. So appreciate it. And let's turn back the clock a little bit. And when did you enroll in the course? And do you remember when you first heard about affiliate marketing and stuff?
Yeah, so I think I rolled like a year and like 6 months ago, something like that, because I had another site before this site that I worked on. But then I first heard about affiliate marketing, I think in around 2016. I signed up for a couple courses that weren't your course, obviously. And they were just really outdated and bad. They had bad information and just kind of steered me in the wrong direction. But I didn't give up. I didn't want to give up because I saw the viability of this and being able to work for yourself. So I kept researching, and eventually I stumbled upon you and a few others that had actual good information, that courses that were actually up to date. And I just started following them, and here I am now. So.
Cool. Very good. And as far as like the traffic numbers, can I'll get some screenshots from you, but over the last, say, 30 days or the last month or two, like what kind of traffic are you getting on a monthly basis?
It's anywhere between like 3,500 to 4,000 a month.
Okay, so it's not a huge number for the revenue
Mm-mm.
that you're doing.
No, not at all. But I've gotten pretty good with my product review keywords, so those are ranking pretty high. So I think that has a lot to do with the success for money.
Okay, very good. And can you give us some insight into like the special thing that you're doing to rank these product related keywords?
Nothing special. Just
All right.
keyword research. There's nothing to it. Basically, just follow what what you preach with keyword research. Really niche down, like really niche down so that it's really targeted and specific and just not really caring so much about the volume because a lot of times I see that the volume doesn't really match up to how much traffic I'm actually getting.
Okay, very good. And I guess you're talking about the keyword golden ratio, the KGR, to
Hmm.
help essentially like get that very long tail, ultra long tail traffic. So,
Yep.
do you have any maybe like examples, not specific of the keyword, but you're like, hey, the search volume for this term was like 0 and I'm getting more traffic? Do you have a couple home runs like that?
I do. It's an information post, but one of my informational posts, it actually gets the most traffic on my site, and it's zero, and it brings in anywhere between like sometimes 30 to 40 visits a day.
Wow. And do you have any affiliate links on that informational content?
That particular post, no, I don't. It's strictly informational.
Okay. And that's pretty cool. And I guess that was just one of the keywords you found, and you were like, hey, this makes sense to publish. And now it's
Hmm.
pulling in the majority of the traffic for your site.
Yep.
Awesome. So, as far as like the product keywords, can you give us just some broad tips? I know you were like, hey, just follow the stuff in the course, but do you have any like overall tips? Like if you were chatting with one of your friends who isn't in the course, how would you describe your keyword research approach?
So I'll either use Ahrefs or sometimes I'll just go on Google and I'll use like the auto suggest for Google and I'll just type in best blah 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 for blah 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 and I'll just let it fill it out and I really look at the SERPs. Like that's been one of the things that I wish I would have done a lot earlier was like understand the SERPs and I look for certain things like if I see if I see like a forum like Quora or just a forum that I see from my niche, I automatically am pretty much going to write it regardless of the traffic. Like it's going to go up because I know I can rank at least on the first page within like a couple weeks.
Okay.
So that's been really big.
Very good. So you'll check out basically like sort of sites that have maybe a little bit weaker SEO. So especially a forum where you could have a bunch of jokers going on and on for multiple pages before they ever get to the answer. So you're thinking, hey, I can give the searcher a more concise answer a little bit quicker and that sort of
Hmm.
thing.
And also, I found in my niche too that there's a lot of e-commerce sites that rank for the best keywords, and I just go for them. And a lot of times, I'll even outrank them as well.
Okay, that's cool. And I want to jump back to the earnings because you mentioned the trajectory was pretty interesting in that you're making a few bucks a month and then it jumped to 100 and then it's kind of accelerating. So can
Hmm.
you paint us a picture of that movement and that growth?
Yeah. So I started out. I think I made like $10. That was like the very first month, and then I stopped making money for like 2 months, and then all of a sudden it jumped up to like $50. And then it kind of dropped down again to 25, and then the next month it was up to like 150, and then the next month it jumped up to like 300, and I was like, oh my god, like this is working.
All
And ever
right.
since then it's like it's approaching 400 now, and I'm just really happy with the site path I'm going on.
Fantastic. And congratulations. A lot of people, fail to even launch a site and a lot of people, really don't make much money. They just get frustrated and quit. Now, you mentioned you had a site going and you tried to take a couple other courses,
Hmm.
basically a few false starts. So,
Yeah.
how do you feel now that you're like, hey, I'm making it work and it's growing? Like personally and emotionally, like how do you feel about it?
It's good. I mean, it's nice that you find something that works, you stick with it for long enough, and you don't give up. That you can make it happen.
Awesome. And like to your family, does this mean anything huge? Obviously, growing family and you're moving and all that stuff. Anything specific where you're like, oh, it's really great to have this extra revenue coming in.
Oh yeah, I rub it in my wife's face all the time. Yeah, she's happy that we have a little bit of extra money for groceries or whatever, and as a 3 years down the line, I'm hoping it replaces the income totally, and I can spend more time with family, and be able to take them on trips and, just create memories. That's the most important thing. So that's what, this is all about for me.
Awesome. Very good. And if if you're well, I don't want to assume how your family dynamic is or anything like that, but you've been working on this for a while, so
Hmm.
it probably felt amazing to be able to show your wife, hey, like we are making money. I knew it could work, and
Hmm.
yeah. So anything around that?
Oh yeah. I mean, when I have like my big days where I've made a lot of money, I'm showing her screenshots like, look what I sold today. Like, look how much money I've made. And she's just like, oh, that's awesome. You're doing such a good job. Like, keep going. And so that does, it helps out a lot. Keeps me focused on, adding more content and researching more keywords or, whatever I'm doing for that day. So.
Okay. Cool. So, how much content is on the site at this point? Can you give us a relative idea of like the length of a lot of the posts and how you approach content?
Yeah, so I only have 28 posts on my website, so I don't have that many at all, which is kind of promising for the future and adding more. So info posts, they're right around 1,500 words, sometimes 2,000, but I try to keep it up right around 1,500. And then buyer intent posts are anywhere between 2,000 to 2,500.
Okay.
So
And then did you write those yourself?
So probably about 50-50. About half of the posts I wrote myself, and then half of the posts are outsourced on Upwork.
Okay. One thing I really like that you've done here is you have 28 posts over the course of a year. They're, a decent length. They're not crazy long, but I do run into a lot of folks, even in the course. They start the course with the best intentions of like doing exactly what I outline as the framework, and then they find themselves trying to publish like 100 or 200 or 300 articles, and I'm like, no, 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 like pump the brakes, like you got to do some other work along with it, which is around outreach and link building and that sort of thing. So I like that you've kept it at a manageable sort of size for the number of links you have, which we'll be getting to in a second. But I don't know. Do you have any observations? I know you're in the Facebook group, you're active, you're in the community. So do you have any observations on people just trying to pump the site with content and then kind of miss the forest for the trees?
I don't know. I kind of wish that I would have more content actually. Looking back, I could have probably worked harder, but I mean, that's hindsight 2020 now. I mean, currently I'm trying to reach 6 posts a month on the site, but I also have the money now to where I can reinvest it back in and do majority outsource and just work more on the editing of the post because that's mainly what I care about is putting it in my own voice and making sure that the reader is satisfied. So, but I mean, I think if you're at the revenue level that you want to be at and you can do it at a slow pace, then I mean, you should.
Okay, cool. And as far as like picking the niche, which we're not going to reveal or anything like that, but some people are like, hey, you got to go for something you're interested in, you're passionate about, or other people are just like, hey, whatever, I don't care what the topic is. I'll write about anything and I could do it. So for this one, are you interested in it? Is it something you actually care about?
Not at all. Nope.
Okay.
It does make it harder to write content. It does make it harder to want to sit down and write. And sometimes I do force myself to write, but I think the money's the motivator in this case, and that since I'm doing so well, and since I know that if I put content out and it's good, then people will consume it, like it, and maybe buy something. It motivates me more than like actually liking the topic. So,
Okay. And I kind of fall in the same area where I like the process of doing, the work. So I'm definitely okay just in general with not being interested or passionate about this specific topic. So I also have the luxury, like you do now, to reinvest revenue so that you don't have to do all the writing and stuff like that. So
yeah.
very cool. All right. Now, going back to the older site that you launched and maybe some mistakes that you made, do you have any to highlight? And maybe there's one specific that caused you to think, hey, you know what, I should launch a new site. and just kind of start from scratch here.
Yeah, definitely just too much competition. Like going for something that just has way too much competition. Something that you just like, some niches you just can't find cracks. Like they're just so competitive that maybe for a beginner it's better to kind of stay away from that until you really understand what you're doing. And so I think I bit off a little bit more than I could chew.
Okay. I've seen that. Well, I mean, you can't blame a new person to understand like the intricate nature of like competition analysis. And after you
Hmm.
start analyzing more and you see more stuff, like then you could tell pretty quickly. So you went for something a little lower competition, and it turned out to be something you're not super interested in, but you're actually able to make the site profitable. Perfect.
Yep.
All right. And moving on to link building, how's it been going for you? What's your approach to link building, outreach, and promoting the site?
So it's been 100% outsourced. I've tried a couple different companies, and I've had success with them. It's just outsourcing gets expensive, and so I'm definitely going to work on outreach myself. But it works.
Okay. And I think it's key to highlight because some people are like, hey, I'm not going to do any kind of link building. I just want it to happen naturally. And I think it can happen naturally. I mean, have you gotten any natural backlinks that you know of or?
Not quality ones, no, not that I've seen. They've all been kind of garbage links.
Okay. And that honestly, that is that's my observation most of the time is if you're not going out to actively like promote the site, occasionally you may get a link, but usually it's like after your site's been around for a pretty long time. I mean, you may start getting them now, Justin, that your site's been around for about a year or so.
Yeah,
But yeah, don't care about affiliate sites. They're not usually going to go link to your site unless you let them know that it's out there. So
yeah.
we won't mention these specific companies you outsource to, but how was the process overall? Just like putting in your order and working with them. How did it go? How long did it take?
So most of the time, it's pretty easy to, put exactly what you want, the anchor text, what page, but the actual guest post can take anywhere between like 15 to 30 days to actually post. And then I always go back and I check to make sure that it's on the website that they said it was on. And normally I'll use like Ahrefs to see if it comes through there. And yeah, it's been a good experience, but like I said, it's just costly. So.
Yeah, and we were just talking before we hit record here, and yeah, for the age site case study that I'm working on, it is by far like the most expensive part, and I think I've spent $2,500 $3,000 on backlinks, and I believe they are helping. I do come from the camp where links help and take a proactive approach, but gosh, it's just so expensive if you outsource it. Super
Yeah,
easy to outsource, but very expensive.
it is, and just a story about the about backlinks and how powerful they can be. I have a page that I think it was ranking like maybe on page three for the longest time, like months, and I hit it with one backlink, and now it's number three in the SERPs. So I mean, they and I did nothing else to it, so they 100% work. Like I know for a fact.
That's super cool. Do you remember how long it took?
It took about a month for it to hit number three after everything was indexed.
Cool. It's hard to gauge it these days because usually we're doing many other things to our sites. We may be optimizing the on-site content and a few other things, doing internal links, and then you do an external link all at the same time, and you really don't know like
Yeah.
what made a difference. So that's perfect. Very cool. And do you happen to remember the metrics on that particular guest post at Ballpark?
As far as
Like the domain rating or domain authority, anything like that?
oh, I think it was maybe like a DA of like 50. I think the site's getting maybe like 30,000 a month in page views or something like that.
Okay,
So it was a pretty aged site.
awesome. And it was so, and for the people that are sort of unfamiliar with some of the vocabulary there, so the site that your guest post landed on was organically getting roughly 30,000 visitors per month. So Google likes the site because it's actually getting traffic organically.
Right.
Cool. And that is verifiable through like third party sources like Ahrefs. So you can see, hey, they're actually ranking for these keywords. Okay. Very cool. Do you have any other tools that you use on a regular basis, like Ahrefs or any others?
So I just recently started using Surfer SEO to optimize my pages. So I'm going back through and testing true density out. I'm testing different word counts and headings and bolding certain words and just all the little things that Surfer has that brings you more towards the rest of the pages that are ranking in the top 10.
Okay.
So to try to push my pages up.
Do you have any results from that yet, or is it
I
too
don't.
early? Okay.
Yeah, I just started, so it's too early.
Okay. I've heard good things so far about Surfer. Is it Surfer SEO? Is that what it's
Yeah.
called? Okay.
Hmm.
So I haven't used it personally, but a lot of people, there's a lot of buzz about the tool, which I don't know who made it or anything like that. But sometimes when there's a lot of buzz, it doesn't necessarily mean things are great. So I'm always skeptical, though. I'm a contrarian in a lot of ways. So yeah, let us know how it works out. And do you have any handle on how long it'll take for some of the results to show up for on page?
Maybe like in the next 3 weeks to a month,
Okay.
potentially. So I tried to force index it on Google Search Console, so hopefully it'll be quicker, but we'll
Okay.
see.
Cool. And I found, those on-site type changes do happen super quick. I mean, it could be as quick as a week, but of course you're doing it on several pages on the site, so it'll take some time for everything to kind of propagate through everything. So, all right. Well, any other interesting tips on like link building or content on the site?
So not so much a tip, but pretty soon I'm planning on doing some A/B testing for what's better between having your buyer's guide first compared to last on the site to see whether people click over more to Amazon or trust your site a little bit more if you have the information first or if you just have your products first. So I'm gearing up to do that. That should be an interesting little study.
Yeah. So how do you have it set up now?
So right now it's my product reviews are first and then the buyer's guide is second. But I'm leaning towards just changing it up just to see what happens and then doing an A/B test to really see what the results are.
Okay. Yep. And I've seen it done both ways. I've never actually done a test, but I definitely, it feels like that could be a good approach to have the helpful information first, like you said, to sort of build trust. And then by the time the person gets to the product, they're like, oh, I kind of get it. And I trust the site. I'm educated about like making a selection here. So totally
Hmm.
makes sense.
Yep. And then another thing is I'm a really true believer of tables, having really good tables on your site. I've seen my conversion rating for my tables is at about 10 or 11% compared to links, which is only at like 3%. So tables is definitely huge. And I was watching your interview with Kirk Phillips, and what he said about tables is 100% true. If they're clicking on your table, they're more likely to buy than if they're clicking through a link.
Cool. Do you have any like tips on how you set up your tables?
So I have a developed tables, like a developer developed a special table, so it's not like a generic plugin or anything like that. And just having like really good features of the product that it's more of a benefit, like turning a feature into a benefit is pretty much what I do on the tables.
Okay. And what was it like hiring a developer to work on the table, and how do you actually like insert a table into like your WordPress post?
So it uses short code. It's actually done through AAWP. So
Okay,
it still is run through a plugin, but it's just the CSS was changed on there
got you.
to make it more friendly, user friendly.
Okay, so basically you got a developer to change the formatting for the like specific table the AAWP normally uses by default, and like you're laying a CSS layer on top of it to format it exactly how you want it to behave, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep.
And then you're using the normal shortcodes for AAWP.
Yep.
Perfect. And yeah, so what was it like hiring a developer to do it? How did you end up finding that person and communicating with them exactly what you wanted to do?
So I just used a table that I had seen on another website, and they were able to basically just replicate it. Replicate it. That's all. It's pretty simple.
Okay. How long did it take? What did it cost you?
It was a couple months, and cost like 300-400 bucks.
Okay. It took him a couple months to,
Yeah.
holy cow.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I'm like, usually if you have an existing table, for example, or element, whatever it may be, you usually can just go look in like Chrome or any browser to see what the code is, see the actual CSS, and then you just like slam it into whatever you're using. So I'm surprised it took that long, basically.
Yeah.
Do you have
Well,
any?
sometimes you get what you pay for, I guess. I
Oh,
don't know.
yeah. Well, and I'm no coder, so I just I've played around a little bit with CSS, and yeah, so maybe I'm completely uninformed, and people can send me an angry email and let me know that it's way harder than that. But I think
Yeah.
it's like
I,
straightforward.
I try to play around with CSS too. I don't get too deep into it because, with CSS and everything, you don't want to like mess up my website. But
Yep.
I've changed a few font colors here and there and just some cosmetic stuff. But
Yeah. Cool.
but yeah, tables is the way to go, definitely.
So, any other overall tips on like I said, link building? You got keyword research, content, anything you've learned?
Just competition analysis with keywords. Like I think keywords is probably the biggest thing. Like that's what's going to make or break your website. So if if you do anything right, it would be keyword research because if you don't, then you're going to be stuck for a long time. If you're trying to go after a big fish before you can catch the small fish, then it's going to be a problem. So definitely understanding the SERPs and how they work and what keywords are smart to go after when and that sort of thing. Not trying to go after a keyword that's dominated by domain ratings that are like 80s and 90s because you're not gonna get on page one. But if you can find that a few domain ratings that are in the 30s or 20s, those are the ones that you want to go after because you can compete there or even lower. So
Good advice. All right. Well, we're sort of coming to the end here. So, do you have any, like, again, tips or advice for people who are just getting started and they want to replicate your success?
yeah, it's not overnight. So just do something. Like you don't have to do something every day, but just week over week, just do a little bit here, a little bit there, keep improving, keep learning. As long as you just, do something on your website, it'll add up over time to, you know, big things. So,
Very good. Great advice. And yeah, just people got to get started doing a thing, and it may not be their thing that's going to help them like quit their job or be their next 10 years the project they're working on, but you'll learn a lot along the way. Like I think it's great to highlight, you had a couple, or yeah, I don't know how many websites you had before,
it
but
was a
like
it was a good amount.
okay, so you had some mistakes along the way, and there's a wake of 10 websites before I really got my footing and figured out what I needed to do. So excellent, excellent. Well, Justin, you kind of keep it low, like under the radar, and if people want to like find you, it's basically like just in maybe like some YouTube comments. You show up on
Yeah.
YouTube occasionally, and
Yep.
then you're a little bit active over on the Facebook group for the course, which is private. So I appreciate that. I think keeping the number of people asking things of you is to a lower amount is a good thing most of the time. So is there anywhere else you want people to like check out?
Nope. Just I'm in those two places. If you got a question,
Right
I'll
on.
be around. Maybe.
Okay. Cool. Well, thanks, Justin. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. No problem.
Thanks again to Justin, really appreciate it. And quick note, I know some people are probably thinking, hey, can I enroll in 5-Figure Niche Site, the course? And you can. Sometimes the enrollment is not open. I throttle it down. It's not just open all the time. I run a very lean team personally, so I try and make sure I don't have too many students at once so that I can support the students that are working through the course at any given time. So with that said, you can go to 5figurenichesite.com, click the green button, put your name and email address in there, and then I'll send you some helpful templates to get you started. Make sure you're right for the course, and then when it does open up again, you will get an email, you'll get a link, it'll be very clear that you can enroll in the course. Thanks a lot, and we'll catch you on the next one.